Fred or Jose?
Oh, man. That's tough. I, uh,
That's as Jordan-like as any other player in the NBA can get.
The NBA Defensive Player of the Year wins. Wallace.
Fred, the three. Good! Big bucket. Fred VanVleet.
Hello again. Welcome to another edition of Basketball Central at Home. I'm Brad Fay. We've got a great one lined up for you this time around. The focus being those players who were overlooked when it came to the NBA draft. It's never an exact science, and these players are exhibits of that, to be sure. We will discuss some head-to-head matchups, including those involving the Toronto Raptors with Alvin Williams and Michael Grange. Alvin will join his pals Danielle Michaud and Eric Smith for another lively edition of Swish or Brick. But first, at home with Mychal Mulder, the pride of Catholic Central in Windsor, Ontario. Here's Alvin.
hey, Mike, what's going on, man?
Not too much, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I love your story, man. You had a path in your journey, wasn't your typical journey for an NBA player. And, I mean, that shows your character, that shows your makeup and your build and you're just being persistent. When you're coming out of high school, out of Canada, out of Windsor, what was that process like being recruited, the lack of being recruited? What was your mindset? What was your frame of mind when you were going through that process?
You know, my journey has been a little bit different, as you said. During that time, my mindset was just as it's always been, just kind of put one foot in front of the other, focus on the next day, make each day count. But obviously, the lack of recruiting, I took a different route. I decided to go junior college. I figured that was an opportunity for me to get better, work on my body, work on my skills, and then obviously raise my ceiling and see where I could end up. And that worked out for me well. Obviously, my recruiting picked up a little bit in my second year at Vincennes. So, you know, I was just very focused, especially at Vincennes, at stacking good days on top of each other. You know, that was something that my coach had really instilled in us, not to worry too much about, you know, the recruiting or what's going to happen after this, but we got to worry about what we're doing now, and our success now will lead to our success later. So that was basically my mindset coming out. And that's something I've continued to cherish and hold with me.
Are you watching The Last Dance?
Yeah, of course. I'm putting my shoes on and watching it on the couch like everybody else on Sunday, man.
Oh, my God. And it's funny because Michael Jordan said one thing. He said, you know, a lot of these guys came in riding, you know, Chicago Bulls. They haven't been through what we've been through to win these championships. And now you're in a position where you're part of a team. They're not as up as they have been through injury and everything like that. But you're part of an organization. You're part of tradition. You're part of a legend, a legacy. What's that feeling like being amongst greatness day in and day out?
It's been an incredible experience so far, even in just my small sample size of time with those guys. I know that those guys will make me so much better, and that's why I'm so excited to get back in the gym with them. But you know, you're right. Like Jordan said, and on that team, there's opportunity here. You know, you come in, you could ride the highs of what this team has done in the past 5 years, because they've done some special things, and now I'm a part of that. I could just walk in and ride that wave. But personally, with all the things I've been through, all the ups and downs, the uncertainty from JUCO to the G League onward, you know, I don't feel like I have that right to ever ride that type of wave. It's my obligation coming in there to give them all, give them my best effort. You know, I have to give them everything that they demand of me in order to make sure we find that success again. You know, I didn't earn any of those championships. I wasn't part of any of those teams. So it's my job to make my mark right now. And, you know, I would be doing myself a disservice to come in and ride that wave of those guys, knowing the successes that they have and knowing the opportunity that's in front of me to continue to roll and maintain that success. I would be doing myself a disservice to give them anything but my maximum effort.
Thank you. It's an honor to be able to get a chance to talk to you, especially during these times, man. And I hope you're staying safe. I hope you remain safe. And I hope all continued success for you, man. And continue doing great things, and I'll be definitely looking out for you, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that, man.
Just keep working. Fred VanVleet is the prime example. Bet on yourself.
He has been so huge for the Raptors this season as an undrafted rookie.
Hopefully, Toronto will believe in me the way I believe in what I'm capable of doing.
The Raptors called and we want to sign you. And that's how the NBA came into my life.
Besides proudly displaying the NBA championship banner, one of the Raptors' great identities has been the ability to identify players that weren't drafted. And that's part of the reason that Terrence Davis came to Toronto, knowing that the history gave players a chance to play. With Michael Grange joining Alvin Williams and I, we discussed some head-to-head matchups. If the draft was happening today and these two players were on the board, Chris Boucher and Terrence Davis, Michael, which one do you take?
Well, they're both pretty effective players, as we've seen this year, but I would go with Terrence Davis, younger, first of all, and has shown signs of being, an NBA starter long term. And I think when you're talking about undrafted players, that is kind of the holy grail. But so out of those two, I go with TD.
And Alvin?
I agree with Grange. I agree. I think Terrence, he shows a tenacity that I really love. So I would give Terrence the nod on this one.
All right, we're staying with just Raptor-centric right now, but this next one's an interesting matchup. And Alvin, I'll come to you first. Mike James, who had one electrifying season. Jeremy Lin comes and wins a ring, but did his best work elsewhere.
I go with Mike James. Mike James is somebody, he had the one season with the Raptors, but I remember him in Miami and Detroit, winning the championship, coming off that bench. He was a ferocious type of guy, very intense, and Mike James is the guy that will get drafted over Jeremy Lin for me.
Michael, do you agree?
Once again, I'm going to agree. Yeah, Alvin hit it right on the head there. He showed as a Raptor he could really, really score. He put up 20 points. It was really an amazing season. 20 points, over 40% from three. Jeremy Lin had some good moments in his career, but nowhere near the kind of the versatility and the overall consistency.
This next one's a great matchup. Both players top 25 Raptors of all time in our vote before the season. Fred VanVleet was 14th. Jose Calderon was 7th. By the way, Alvin Williams, you were 13th. So I'll give you first crack. Fred or Jose?
Oh, man. That's tough. I have to go with Fred. I like Fred's projection, big time player, in the finals. Postseason, he shows a lot of grit. He shows in today's style of basketball, which is, Jose was a more traditional point guard, but Fred VanVleet is doing his thing and continue to do his thing. So Fred VanVleet, I would take him in the draft right now.
I do agree with Alvin. I think we haven't seen the best of Fred VanVleet yet. I think there's probably still some upside there, but Jose Calderon had an amazing NBA career. I mean, turned himself into a fantastic shooter, always at the very, very top of the NBA in terms of assist to turnover ratio. If Alvin's taking Fred, I got no complaints with Jose Calderon.
All right, one quick list and a quick word on one of these guys, Alvin.
I got to go with Chili. Chili's a, competitor, guy that, carved his niche. And I know for the Raptors, he made my job much easier as well. So I go with Chris Childs.
And Michael.
Well, we haven't quite seen enough of him yet, but Matt Thomas has certainly shown signs that he can be a valuable NBA contributor. But I'm also going to put a little check mark beside Oshae Brissett, who, it's really too early to judge, but he shows some signs. I think he can be in the NBA for a long time.
All right, we go to the bigger picture, and this is kind of the opposite of that Kwame Brown, Greg Oden, Sam Bowie conversation that we have, the busts at the top. How about guys that busted through that were undrafted? Alvin, talk about, I'll put your top 5 up, but choose one guy from that list who's your favorite all-time undrafted NBA player.
I think it may be John Starks. You think about him being able to compete at the highest level, a big part of that Knicks team where they went to the finals. And, he was to me kind of like a J.R. Smith is today. He's like the wild card, but the guy that was going to compete, had to guard the toughest guys, Reggie Miller, Michael Jordan, all these guys. For him to be undrafted and step up to the plate with that, he was the most interesting and the guy I like watching the most.
I'm going to go with Ben Wallace. Alvin left me an easy one here. I mean, Ben Wallace, you look at his resume, First of all, 1,100 games, right? Undrafted free agent. You're in the league that long, that effective. That's a win right away. But 4 times Defensive Player of the Year. Was a central figure on those great Pistons teams. There's a reason he didn't get drafted. He came out in probably maybe the deepest draft class of all time, the '96 draft. And, that's Iverson, Nash, Kobe, Ray Allen. You keep going down the list. And if you were to do win shares out of that draft class, Ben Wallace, who's undrafted, would be 5th overall. So just an incredible career. But all these guys, I mean, they're the great stories in the NBA.
I love that Ben Wallace was the 10th of 11 kids, so he barely made it into the top 10 in his own house, and then becomes a great NBA player being undrafted. Thanks for this, guys. It was fun.
Thank you.
Welcome to another week of Swishes or Bricks. Once again, joined by Eric Smith and Alvin Williams. And fellas, I'm going to start this one a little differently this week because it's a sad week because we finally have reached the end of The Last Dance. It has been the most fantastic entertainment throughout this period. 10 episodes. And I want to know, we'll start with you, E, what your overall swish of the series is and overall brick.
The entire thing is my swish because, whether we talk about, the pizza story, whether it's true or not, whether we talk about going after Scott Burrell, the behind the scenes stuff, the little interaction with Larry Bird, you name it. I mean, we could go on. There were so many swishes in this. So I'm going with just the entire thing as a swish. The absolute brick to this point, though, is the fact that I think there could have been a few more interviews with some of the guys behind the scenes and some of the other players and guys that he went up against. But otherwise, outstanding job, and I'm going to miss watching that on, well, I guess technically Mondays, not Sundays.
I'm going with a swish as well, E. I like the whole thing. I think the biggest part is timing. It was nothing else for me to do. So I just love the fact that it was something I can look forward to on a Sunday. And I go full 2 hours watching it. So the whole document was a swish.
My biggest swish was the fact that I now have a more favorite Jordan meme than the Jordan crying, because Jordan looking at the iPad is just fantastic. But the brick would be that all the funniest parts of the doc were always ruined for me because we live in Canada and we had to wait till Monday, righty? So that was kind of a pain in the butt. Now, the Raptors able to get back to the OVO Center slowly and safely, but that doesn't mean that they aren't still taking part in some activities when they have some free time. And one of those was Patrick McCaw dropping, I guess not really a track, maybe just a verse.
Yeah, been broke all my life, you don't know the feeling. Take a walk in my shoes, I'm from St. Louis, where either crippin' or they sue. Don't stop at red lights, you get left at red lights, you be gone at red lights, can't forget your tool.
Well, listen, I'm going to just very quickly say I'll pass it over to Al because he's got a little bit more street cred when it comes to this, I think. I didn't think it sounded great, but it's a hell of a lot better than I can do. So I'm hesitantly saying brick, but I'll pass it over to a guy that actually does spit some bars sometimes and give it to Al.
Well, I wish I spit bars, and I don't know about my street cred, not at the age of 45, so I'm washed up. And all rap music that's anything past 2010 other than Drake and a few other people, I'm not even listening to. But however, during this time, once again, you have some talent, you got enough courage to go out there and step off the ledge or whatever, I'm all for it. So I'm gonna give him a swish for the attempt.
Comedian Brandon Armstrong has gone viral a number of times because he's been doing these incredible impersonations of NBA players, and the whole Raptors team, for the most part, was put on display on his social media feeds recently. E, was it a swish or a brick, his impressions of some of the Toronto Raps?
I'll give it a swish. I've been entertained by him, and I specifically enjoyed watching the Siakam one. I thought some of them were a little off, but the Pascal one was real legit.
But Kyle was funny as well. Kyle's feet when he's always pointed to the side and then wiping his jersey with his hands, like he had that down pat. So I'll give him a swish as well.
Plus, I laughed out loud at Chris Boucher with the block and the run back. So awkward. It was perfect. But Spencer Dinwiddie started a GoFundMe account trying to crowdsource his next contract and let fans choose where his next team would be. Alvin, this swish or a brick?
It's a swish because, first of all, I don't know if I'm too stupid to understand the concept, but I'm going to just go with something. I guess since I don't know, it's a swish, but I know he's really big in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency piece, and he's starting something. So, I mean, I'm sure I wasn't eating peanut butter before the inventor came out with peanuts. So I'm gonna go with the swish as well.
Al, come on. As a player, if fans told you that you had to go sign with like the worst team in the league or something, you're going to do it just because you're making 25 mil instead of 18 mil? I'm saying it's a brick.
The strong possibility.
This isn't even a brick for me. This is just a full-on airball, and I don't think I'm the only one who thought this, because of the $24 million he was trying to raise, he got to $1,150 before they deactivated the account. Okay, a couple quick ones to finish this off. Fans keeping themselves busy. We've seen the gender reveals in every possible way, and this week there was an alley-oop gender reveal. Alvin, Swish or brick?
Swish. I'm more impressed with the pass. The way she put it up there right in the perfect spot, knew how high he can jump, put it right there. So I'm more impressed with the whole collective teamwork. So I give it a swish.
All right, hold on a second. Tell me if I'm wrong here, Danielle. The last few weeks, Al has been brick on everything. I'm sour, I'm moody, I don't want to see anything, nothing about kids. Yeah. You know, life's terrible right now, whatever.
This is true.
Everything this week. Swish, this is great. I love this, I love that. Show me boxing, show me videos. I love it all. This is an absolute brick. I'm tired of seeing the gender reveals. I'm tired of seeing all this stuff. Give me something else to watch than people throwing out their lives on displays. I don't care if you're having a boy or a girl. Just make sure they're healthy. Leave it at that.
I have no clue where this is being filmed, but birds playing hoops, much to the entertainment of the kids who are watching. Alvin, are we this desperate? Is this a swish or a brick?
I'm on it. As a brick.
Thank you. It's good to see you're back. It's good to see that Al is back. It's an absolute brick, Danielle. No doubt about it.
I agree. Brick. No one wants to see this. We aren't that desperate. Swishes and bricks. Pretty simple concept, always entertaining. Thank you, fellas.
Interesting that our subject this week was undrafted NBA players who made good, because next time we'll talk about Steve Nash, a player who was drafted in the first round, but there were question marks around that choice way back then. And we want to know on the inbox, what do you think of first when you hear the name Steve Nash, the kid out of St. Michael's University in Victoria by way of Santa Clara University? Any of those choices are worthy. That'll do it for us. Join us next week. Again, the focus all on Steve Nash, the best Canadian ever to play in the NBA. For all of us, I'm Brad Fay. Thanks so much.
Save money on my mind, never touch a 9 to 5, but I grind till I can't no more. And if I make it to the point where I don't need to grind, I'm still gonna grind in my leisure time.
Nash keeps that dribble wide behind the back, a dazzling pass. Are you kidding me with that pass right there?
Nash gets through, throws up a circus shot, hits it.
What a shot.